Blue Book Chapter 1 Summary. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Core idea of Chapter 1. The first chapter introduces the main concept of the entire book. Men and women are fundamentally different in how they think, feel, communicate, and react, as if they come from two different planets. These differences are natural, not faults. Most relationship problems happen not because of lack of love, but because men and women don't understand these differences. Globe showing Europe-Africa, the Mars and Venus metaphor. The author John Gray uses a story. Men are from Mars. Women are from Venus. Long ago, Martians and Venusians met, fell in love, and moved to Earth. But on Earth, they forgot they were different. Backhand index pointing write this, forgetting causes misunderstandings, arguments, and emotional pain. Brain how men and women differ, Chapter 1 highlights. 1 different ways of thinking. Men Mars. Logical. Solution-oriented. Focus on fixing problems. Women Venus. Emotional. Expressive. Focus on sharing feelings. Problem. When women talk about problems, men start giving solutions. Women often just want listening and understanding. 2 different communication styles. Men. Speak less. Talk to solve. Prefer silence when stressed. Women. Speak more. Talk to connect. Feel better after expressing emotions. Example. A woman talks about a bad day. The man says, just ignore it. She feels unheard, not helped. 3 different emotional needs. Men need trust, respect, appreciation. Women need care, understanding, emotional support. When these needs are unmet, men feel criticized. Women feel neglected. 4 good intentions, bad results. Chapter 1 explains something very important. Men and women usually try to love their partner in the same way they want to be loved, not the way their partner actually needs. Example. A man solves problems, right arrow thinks he's helping. A woman wants empathy, right arrow feels ignored. Both mean well, but results are negative. Warning why relationships fail, according to Chapter 1. Relationships struggle because we assume our partner thinks like us. We expect same emotional reactions. We judge instead of understanding. We forget men and women are different by nature. This leads to arguments, emotional distance, feeling unloved despite love being present. Light bulb main lesson of Chapter 1. The biggest message. Understanding and accepting differences is the key to happy relationships. Not to changing your partner cross mark, proving who is right cross mark, but accepting how men and women naturally function white heavy check mark. Seedling what this chapter prepares you for. Chapter 1 sets the foundation for the rest of the book. Later chapters explain how men handle stress, how women express emotions, how to communicate better, how to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Sparkle's simple one-line summary. Men and women love differently, communicate differently, and think differently, and understanding this saves relationships. Blue Book Chapter 2 Summary. Mr. Fix-It and the Home Improvement Committee. Main theme of Chapter 2. Chapter 2 explains why men and women misunderstand each other during conversations, even when both are loving and sincere. The core idea. Men try to fix problems. Women try to share problems. Neither is wrong, they are just different. Wrench Mr. Fix-It versus House with Garden Home Improvement Committee. John Gray uses a powerful metaphor. Men equals Mr. Fix-It. See problems as things to be solved. Feel loved when they can fix something. Believe love means giving solutions. Woman equals home improvement committee. See problems as opportunities to talk and connect. Feel loved when they are listened to. Believe love means empathy and understanding. Speech balloon, the classic misunderstanding. What usually happens? A woman talks about her problem. I'm feeling very tired and stressed. A man responds, why don't you sleep earlier? Just stop thinking so much. Result: woman feels ignored or judged. Man feels unappreciated. Reality: woman was not asking for a solution. Man thought helping equals fixing. Brain: different intentions, same love. Chapter 2 strongly emphasizes: men care deeply. Women appreciate deeply. But they speak different emotional languages. This causes frustration, emotional distance, repeated arguments over small issues. Prohibited: what women often don't want, but men do anyway. Women often don't want advice, logic, quick solutions, being told what to do. They want listening, eye contact. I understand. That sounds difficult. Face with steam from nose, why men feel attacked. When women reject solutions, men feel rejected. Men feel not good enough. Men think she doesn't value my help. This can make men withdraw, stop listening, become silent. Read what women actually want, key insight. Women want to feel heard, valued, emotionally safe. They want support, not repair, presence, not answers. Sometimes the best response is, I'm sorry you're feeling this way, I'm here. Warning: the advice trap. Men fall into the advice trap. Giving advice too early. Interrupting emotional sharing. Trying to end the conversation quickly. This breaks emotional connection. Repeat button: how this creates a cycle. Woman shares feelings. Man gives solution. Woman feels misunderstood. Man feels unappreciated. Both get hurt. Same pattern repeats. Light bulb: the big learning of Chapter 2. Listening is more powerful than fixing. For men, don't jump to solutions. Listen fully. Show empathy. For women, understand men's fixing comes from love. Appreciate intention, even if solution isn't needed. Seedling: practical relationship wisdom. Heavy check mark for men. Ask, do you want advice or just to talk? Validate feelings before solutions. Heavy check mark for women. Say clearly, I just need you to listen. Acknowledge his desire to help. Sparkle's one-line summary. Men show love by fixing problems. Women feel loved when they are understood. End arrow: why Chapter 2 is important. This chapter explains everyday arguments, reduces blame, builds emotional intelligence, strengthens long-term relationships. Blue Book Chapter 3 summary. Men go to their caves and women talk. Core idea of Chapter 3. Chapter 3 explains how men and women react differently to stress, pressure, and emotional overload. The key message: when men are stressed, they withdraw. When women are stressed, they want to talk. This difference is natural, not rejection or drama. Whole men go to their cave. Man: how men handle stress. When men face work pressure, failure, financial stress, emotional confusion, they tend to become silent, withdraw emotionally, spend time alone, focus on one problem at a time. This private space is called the cave. In the cave, men think deeply, try to solve problems, regain confidence, Recharge emotionally. Exclamation mark common misunderstanding. When a man goes quiet, woman thinks he doesn't love me anymore. Woman feels ignored or abandoned. But reality, he needs space to feel better, not distance from love. Speaking women talk to feel better. Woman, how women handle stress. When women are stressed, they want to talk, share emotions, discuss problems, talk about many things at once. Talking helps women release emotions, feel connected, gain clarity, heal emotionally. For women, talking is therapy. Exclamation mark common misunderstanding. When women talk a lot, men feel overwhelmed. Men think, why so many problems? Men try to escape or fix quickly. But reality, she is not complaining, she is processing emotions. Repeat button the stress clash. Typical situation. Man is stressed, right arrow goes silent. Woman feels disconnected, starts talking more. Man feels pressured, retreats deeper. Woman feels rejected, talks emotionally. Conflict increases. Both feel hurt, but neither understands the other's needs. Broken heart, emotional misinterpretations. What women think but isn't true. He doesn't care. He is avoiding me. I did something wrong. What men think but isn't true. She is blaming me. She is never satisfied. I can't make her happy. Light bulb important lesson of Chapter 3. Different coping styles do mean lack of love. Men withdraw to solve and recover. Women talk to connect and heal. Both are valid. Brain, why men need space. Men need space because they don't want to fail. They want to regain control. They fear being judged. They feel weak asking for help. Once men feel better, they naturally come back. They reconnect emotionally. They become loving again. Read, why women need talking. Women need to talk because emotions move through words. Silence feels like rejection. Sharing builds intimacy. Being heard equals being loved. Warning, what not to do. Cross mark women should avoid. Chasing a man into his cave. Forcing conversation. Taking silence personally. Cross mark men should avoid. Staying silent too long. Shutting down emotionally. Ignoring her feelings completely. Heavy healthy balance, what Chapter 3 suggests. Heavy check mark for men. Tell her, I need some time to think, I'll come back. Reconnect after space. Reassure love. Heavy check mark for women. Give him space without panic. Use this time for self-care. Welcome him back warmly. Seedling relationship growth insight. When couples understand this chapter, arguments reduce. Emotional trust increases. Stress doesn't damage love. Connection becomes deeper. Sparkle's one-line summary. Men recover from stress by withdrawing. Women recover by talking. Understanding this prevents emotional distance. End arrow, why Chapter 3 matters. This chapter helps couples stop unnecessary fights, respect emotional needs, build patience, strengthen long-term bonds. Blue Book Chapter 4 Summary. How to motivate the opposite sex. Core idea of Chapter 4. Chapter 4 explains what truly motivates men and women in relationships and why using the wrong motivation style damages love. The key truth. Men are motivated when they feel needed. Women are motivated when they feel cherished. Both needs are equally important, but very different. What motivates men? Men feel motivated when they feel trusted. They feel accepted. They feel needed. They feel appreciated. Men naturally want to protect, provide, Solve. Support. When a man feels useful, his confidence rises and he gives more love. Crossmark what demotivates men. Men lose motivation when they are criticized. They are corrected constantly. Their efforts are undervalued. They feel controlled or micromanaged. Even well-intentioned advice can sound like, "You are not good enough." Broken heart how women accidentally demotivate men. Women often motivate the way they want to be motivated. By giving advice, by suggesting improvements, by pointing out what's missing. But men interpret this as disapproval, lack of trust, failure. Result: men withdraw. Men stop trying. Men feel unappreciated. Cherry blossom what motivates women. Women feel motivated when they feel cared for. They feel understood. They feel respected emotionally. They feel special and valued. Women bloom when love is expressed verbally. Feelings are acknowledged. Efforts are noticed. Small gestures show care. Crossmark what demotivates women. Women lose motivation when their feelings are ignored. Love is assumed, not expressed. They feel emotionally alone. They feel unimportant. Men often think, "I love her, she should know." But women need to hear and feel love repeatedly. Warning: the motivation mistake. A major problem highlighted in Chapter 4. Men motivate women by giving space. Women motivate men by giving advice. But the opposite is needed. Men need appreciation. Women need attention and care. Repeat button the emotional cycle. Typical situation. Woman feels uncared for, right arrow complains. Man feels criticized, right arrow withdraws. Woman feels ignored, complains more. Man feels like a failure, right arrow shuts down. Love exists, but motivation disappears. Light bulb: the big learning of Chapter 4. Different people need different emotional fuel. Love grows when men feel trusted and needed. Women feel cherished and understood. Read how to motivate each other, practical tips. Heavy checkmark for women motivating men. Appreciate effort, not perfection. Trust his decisions. Ask for help instead of correcting. Say, "I trust you." Heavy checkmark for men motivating women. Express love verbally. Show small acts of care. Listen without fixing. Say, "You matter to me." Seedling relationship wisdom from Chapter 4. Criticism kills motivation. Appreciation fuels love. Emotional needs differ. Understanding creates harmony. Sparkle's one-line summary. Men thrive on appreciation. Women thrive on affection. Motivate them the way they need, not the way you do. End arrow: why Chapter 4 is important. This chapter helps couples reduce criticism, increase emotional safety, build mutual respect, strengthen long-term love. Blue Book Chapter 5 Summary. Speaking different languages. Core idea of Chapter 5. Chapter 5 explains that men and women often use the same words but mean very different things. The key message: men and women speak different emotional languages. Misunderstanding these languages creates unnecessary conflict. Love is there, but translation is missing. Speaking same words, different meanings. Men's language, Mars language. Words are direct and literal. Meaning equals exactly what is said. Less emotional interpretation. Women's language, Venus language. Words are emotional and expressive. Meaning includes feelings, tone, and context. Often symbolic, not literal. Warning: the big problem. Men often take women's words literally. Women often take men's words emotionally. This creates confusion. Speech balloon common misunderstandings explained. When a woman says, "We never spend time together," she usually means, "I miss you, I want to feel close." But a man hears, "You are failing as a partner," so he becomes defensive. When a man says, "I'm fine," he usually means, "I don't want to talk right now." But a woman hears, "He is shutting me out," so she feels rejected. Pensive-faced women use emotional exaggeration. Chapter 5 explains that women sometimes use words like always, never, nothing, everything. These words express feelings, not facts. Example: "You never listen to me," meaning, "I feel unheard right now." Men often reply with logic. "That's not true, I listened yesterday." This misses the emotional point. Brain men use minimizing language. Men often use few words, neutral tone, problem-ending phrases. Example: "It's not a big deal." Men mean, "This problem can be solved." Women hear, "Your feelings don't matter." Broken heart emotional translation gap. What men feel: criticized, blamed, attacked. What women feel: ignored, invalidated, unimportant. Both feel misunderstood, not unloved. Light bulb: the big lesson of Chapter 5. Don't react to words, respond to feelings. Understanding the emotional meaning behind words changes everything. Read how men can understand women better. Don't argue facts when she expresses feelings. Listen for emotions, not accuracy. Respond with empathy first. Say, "I understand why you feel that way." Read how women can understand men better. Don't assume silence means lack of love. Ask clearly for what you need. Avoid emotional exaggeration during conflict. Appreciate his honesty and simplicity. Repeat button: the healing communication cycle. Woman expresses feelings. Man listens without defending. Man validates emotions. Woman feels safe. Conflict reduces. Love deepens. Seedling relationship wisdom from Chapter 5. Words are emotional signals. Feelings matter more than facts. Listening heals faster than logic. Understanding creates intimacy. Sparkle's one-line summary. Men and women use the same words but speak different emotional languages. Love grows when we translate, not argue. End arrow: why Chapter 5 is important. This chapter helps couples avoid unnecessary fights, communicate emotionally, feel heard and respected, strengthen long-term bonds. Blue Book Chapter 6 Summary. Men are like rubber bands. Core idea of Chapter 6. Chapter 6 explains a very important relationship pattern. Men naturally pull away and then come back like a rubber band. This behavior is normal, instinctive, and not a sign of lost love. The rubber band theory explained. A rubber band has two movements. It stretches away. It snaps back. Similarly, men sometimes need emotional distance. After distance, they return more loving and connected. This cycle repeats naturally. Why men pull away. Men pull away when they feel overwhelmed. They lose emotional balance. They need independence. They want to reconnect with themselves. Pulling away helps men restore confidence, feel autonomous, miss their partner, renew desire and love. Broken heart: why this hurts women. When a man pulls away, women feel abandoned. Women fear rejection. Women feel unloved. Women try to reconnect quickly. Women think, "If he loved me, He wouldn't distance himself. But that's not how men recharge emotionally. Warning: the big mistake women make. When men pull away, women often chase, demand closeness, ask for reassurance repeatedly, take it personally. This pushes the rubber band further away. Repeat button: the natural love cycle. Healthy pattern: man pulls away, woman gives space, man misses her, man returns lovingly. Unhealthy pattern: man pulls away, woman chases, man feels pressured, man pulls further away. Light bulb key lesson of Chapter 6. Space strengthens love when it is respected. Distance is not the enemy, fear is. Read how women can handle the rubber band effect. Don't panic when he needs space. Use time for self-care. Trust the relationship. Welcome him warmly when he returns. Read how men can help women feel secure. Explain the need for space. Reassure love before pulling away. Return and reconnect emotionally. Avoid disappearing completely. Seedling emotional maturity in relationships. This chapter teaches: love needs rhythm. Closeness and space must balance. Independence fuels intimacy. Trust keeps love alive. Sparkle's one-line summary. When men pull away, it's not rejection. It's how they recharge before returning with more love. End arrow: why Chapter 6 is important. This chapter helps couples avoid fear-based reactions, respect emotional cycles, build trust, prevent emotional burnout. Blue Book Chapter 7 Summary. Women are like waves. Core idea of Chapter 7. Chapter 7 explains an important emotional pattern in women. Women experience emotional highs and lows like waves, and this is natural. These ups and downs do not mean something is wrong with the relationship. Water wave: the wave theory explained. A wave has a high point feeling happy, loving, positive. A low point feeling sad, sensitive, emotional. Women move through these cycles regularly. Why women have emotional waves. Women feel low when stress builds up. Emotions remain unexpressed. They feel disconnected. They haven't talked about feelings. This is not caused by men, but by emotional cycles. Broken heart: common misunderstanding. When a woman is low, men think, I did something wrong. Men try to fix the mood. Men feel like failures. But reality: she just needs emotional support, not solutions. Warning: the biggest mistake men make. When women are in a low wave, men often try to cheer her up, give advice, solve problems, take responsibility for her feelings. This can make women feel pressured, misunderstood, invalidated. Read what women need during low waves. Women need patience, listening, comfort, reassurance. Simple responses help. I'm here. It's okay to feel this way. I love you. Repeat button: the natural emotional cycle. When a woman is allowed to feel, express, be heard, she naturally rises back to happiness, feels lighter, feels closer to her partner. Light bulb key lesson of Chapter 7. Love is tested not during happy times, but during emotional lows. Supporting without fixing builds deep trust. Read how men can support women better. Listen without interrupting. Avoid giving advice unless asked. Stay emotionally present. Don't withdraw or get defensive. Read how women can help men understand. Explain emotional waves calmly. Reassure love during low phases. Avoid blaming language. Appreciate emotional presence. Seedling relationship wisdom from Chapter 7. Emotions move in cycles. Low moods are temporary. Support strengthens intimacy. Acceptance deepens love. Sparkle's one-line summary. Women's emotions rise and fall like waves. Understanding and support help love stay steady. End arrow. Why Chapter 7 is important. This chapter helps couples reduce emotional conflicts, avoid self-blame, build emotional safety, strengthen long-term bonds. Blue Book Chapter 8 Summary. Discovering our different emotional needs. Core idea of Chapter 8. Chapter 8 explains that men and women have different core emotional needs, and relationships suffer when partners try to give love their own way instead of the partner's way. The key message: men and women feel loved in different ways. Giving the right kind of love matters more than giving more love. Read the central problem. Most people love their partner the way they want to be loved, not the way their partner actually needs. This causes disappointment, feeling unappreciated, emotional distance, even when love is genuine. Men's core emotional needs, Mars needs. Men primarily need 1. Trust, feeling believed in, feeling capable, feeling supported in decisions. 2. Acceptance, being loved without constant correction, feeling good enough. 3. Appreciation, efforts being noticed, gratitude for what they do. 4. Admiration, feeling respected, feeling valued as a man. 5. Approval, knowing their partner is happy with them, feeling encouraged, not judged. When these are missing, men feel criticized, men withdraw, men lose motivation. Women's core emotional needs, Venus needs. Women primarily need 1. Care, small acts of concern, feeling emotionally protected. 2. Understanding, being listened to, feelings being validated. 3. Respect, emotions taken seriously, not being dismissed. 4. Devotion, feeling prioritized, knowing she matters. 5. Reassurance, hearing love expressed, feeling emotionally secure. When these are missing, women feel ignored, women feel unloved, women feel insecure. Warning: the love mismatch problem. Common pattern: men give solutions, right arrow. Women want empathy. Women give advice, right arrow. Men feel criticized. Both try to help, but both miss the emotional target. Broken heart: why good intentions fail. Chapter 8 emphasizes love fails not because of lack of effort, but because of lack of understanding emotional needs. A man may work hard, provide stability, stay loyal, but if he doesn't express care emotionally, she feels unloved. A woman may give attention, show concern, offer suggestions, but if she criticizes unintentionally, he feels unappreciated. Light bulb key lesson of Chapter 8. Love becomes powerful when it meets emotional needs. Not quantity, quality of emotional connection matters. Read how men can love women better. Listen without fixing. Express love verbally. Show small acts of care. Reassure during emotional moments. Simple words help. I understand. I care about you. You matter to me. Read how women can love men better. Appreciate effort. Trust his decisions. Avoid constant correction. Admire openly. Simple words help. I trust you. I appreciate what you do. I'm proud of you. Repeat but emotional fulfillment cycle. Emotional needs are met. Partner feels loved. Motivation increases. Love is expressed better. Relationship strengthens. Seedling relationship, wisdom from Chapter 8. Love languages differ. Emotional needs are real. Understanding prevents resentment. Appreciation deepens connection. Sparkle's one-line summary. Men need trust and appreciation. Women need care and understanding. Love works when emotional needs are honored. End arrow why Chapter 8 is important. This chapter helps couples stop feeling unappreciated, love more effectively, reduce emotional conflict, build long-lasting intimacy. In Chapter 9 of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, titled How to Avoid Arguments, John Gray addresses one of the most destructive aspects of relationships, the transition from a simple disagreement into a full-scale battle. The core message of this chapter is that arguments do not come from a difference of opinion. They come from the way those opinions are expressed. 1. The anatomy of an argument. Gray argues that men and women usually start with a minor disagreement, but the conflict escalates because of emotional tone. Men tend to become defensive and aggressive when they feel challenged. Women tend to become critical or disapproving when they feel unheard. Gray points out that the more intimate we are with someone, the easier it is to hurt them, and the more likely we are to react to their feedback as a personal attack rather than a constructive suggestion. 2. Why men argue the need to be right. On Mars, being competent and powerful is everything. When a woman expresses upset or offers unsolicited advice, a man often hears, "You aren't doing a good job," or "You are incompetent." The reaction: to protect his honor, he begins to explain why he is right. The mistake: he forgets to validate her feelings. By proving he is right, he inadvertently makes her wrong, which only makes her feel more ignored and unloved. 3. Why women argue the need to be heard. On Venus, communication is a tool for connection. When a woman is upset, she wants to talk about it to feel better. The reaction: if a man resists her feelings or tells her she shouldn't be upset, she feels rejected. The mistake: she may start to use a tone of disapproval or sarcasm. While she thinks she is just being honest about her feelings, the man hears it as a direct attack on his character. 4. The 4 stances: how we avoid the pain. Gray identifies 4 common, but unhealthy ways couples handle the heat of a potential argument. He calls these the 4 ways to avoid getting hurt. Fighting the aggressive stance. This is predominantly a Martian response. If the man feels blamed, he attacks. This creates a win-lose dynamic where the partner is intimidated into silence. The problem: the resentment stays underground and eventually explodes. Fleeing the passive-aggressive stance. This is also common among men. To avoid conflict, they retreat into their cave and refuse to speak. This cold shoulder leaves the woman feeling abandoned and isolated. Faking the submissive stance. To keep the peace, one partner, often the woman but not always, pretends nothing is wrong. They put on a smile to avoid the discomfort of a fight. Over time, this leads to a loss of self and a buildup of deep-seated resentment. Folding the yielding stance. Instead of fighting, the person simply takes the blame to stop the conflict. They say, "I'm sorry, you're right," just to end the tension, even if they don't mean it. This prevents true resolution. 5. How to communicate without fighting. The secret, offered in Chapter 9, is learning to state your feelings without being judgmental, demanding, or critical. Advice for men. Listen without becoming defensive. Recognize that when she is upset, it's usually not because you are a bad person, but because she needs empathy. The power of "I'm sorry." Gray emphasizes that saying "I'm sorry you're upset" doesn't mean you are admitting you were wrong. It means you care about her feelings. Advice for women. Direct communication. Instead of "Why are you so late?" which sounds like an attack, try, I was worried when you were late. I'd love it if you could call next time. Avoid disapproval. Men are much more likely to listen if they don't feel they are being schooled or criticized like a child. 6. The love letter technique introduction. While Gray expands on this in Chapter 11, he introduces the idea here. If you are too angry to talk, write it down. Writing allows you to process your negative emotions, anger, sadness, fear, regret, so that by the time you speak to your partner, you can lead with love. Summary table, the escalation loop. The trigger, the Martian mistake, the Venusian mistake. A disagreement arises. He tries to fix it or prove he's right. She expresses disapproval or helps too much. The partner reacts. He gets defensive and raises his voice. She feels hurt and becomes critical. The result, an argument, the battle of who is right. Resentment, the loss of connection. The big takeaway: you can disagree without being disagreeable. Most arguments end when one person realizes they are no longer talking about the issue, but are instead fighting to protect their ego. Would you like me to summarize Chapter 10, which focuses on how to score points with the opposite sex? In Chapter 10, Scoring Points with the Opposite Sex, John Gray tackles one of the most common sources of resentment in long-term relationships, the fairness gap. The central conflict of this chapter is that men and women have completely different scoring systems for love. Because we don't realize the other person is using a different scoreboard, we often end up feeling unappreciated or bankrupt in the relationship. 1. The different scoring systems. This is the most famous concept in the chapter. Gray explains that on Mars and Venus, points are awarded differently for acts of love. The Martian scoring system, big versus small. Men tend to think that the size of the gift or act determines the number of points they earn. The logic: a man believes that if he works hard and buys a house, a big act, he gets 50 points. If he brings home a single rose, a small act, he gets 1 point. The consequence: because he thinks he earned 50 points with the big act, he feels he can coast for a while without doing anything else. The Venusian scoring system, equality of acts. Women score things differently. To a woman, no matter how big or small the act of love is, it counts as 1 point. The logic: buying a house equals 1 point. Giving a hug equals 1 point. Taking out the trash equals 1 point. Remembering an anniversary equals 1 point. The consequence: a woman doesn't want one giant sacrifice. She wants a constant stream of small acts that signal she is being thought of and cared for. Greater than the disconnect. A man thinks he is ahead because he did one big thing, while the woman feels he is behind because he hasn't done anything small in weeks. Greater than. 2. How men can score points, the small things. Gray provides a list of over 100 ways a man can score points with a woman. The theme is consistency and attention. Listen actively. Give her 20 minutes of undivided attention without trying to solve her problems. Compliment her. Notice a new outfit or a haircut without being prompted. Initiate communication. Call her from work just to say, "I love you," or to see how her day is going. Small gestures. Bring her a flower, help with the dishes without being asked, or open the car door. Validation. When she is stressed, say, "I can see why you feel that way," instead of "it's not a big deal." By focusing on these 1-point items, a man can keep his score high without needing to perform heroic, exhausting feats every day. 3. How women can score points. On Mars, points are earned by appreciation and acceptance. A man doesn't need small acts as much as he needs to know that his efforts are working. Show appreciation. When he does something, even something small like fixing a leak, notice it and say thank you. This makes him feel like a hero. Avoid the improvement trap. When he makes a mistake, like getting lost while driving, she scores big points by not saying "I told you so." Acceptance. If he goes into his cave, retreats to be alone, she scores points by letting him go gracefully and not taking it personally. Admire him. Men thrive on admiration. Complimenting his strength, his skills, or his character goes a long way. 4. The relationship bank account. Gray uses the analogy of a bank account to describe relationship health. The man's debt. Often, a man feels he has done enough and stops contributing. His account goes into the red because the woman is still doing small things every day while he is doing nothing. The woman's exhaustion. Women tend to give and give until they are bankrupt. When they have nothing left to give, they become resentful. The solution. A woman must learn to ask for support before she is empty, and a man must learn that consistent small efforts are more valuable than occasional grand gestures. 5. Redirecting energy. The chapter concludes by encouraging couples to stop blaming each other for the unfair score. Men, stop waiting for a big opportunity to prove your love. Start looking for the tiny moments. Women, realize that he isn't ignoring you on purpose. He truly believes his big acts have covered the bill. You need to kindly communicate your need for the small things. Summary of the scoring gap. Action points in a man's mind, points in a woman's mind. Buying a luxury car for her 100 points, 1 point. Bringing home a single flower, 1.1 point. Listening for 15 minutes, 1.1 point. Taking out the trash, 1.1 point. Total after 4 actions, 103 points, 4 points. Key takeaway. For men, in the eyes of a woman, 100 small things are worth 100 times more than one big thing. For women, a man needs your points in the form of appreciation. If you don't thank him for the big things, he loses the motivation to do the small things. In Chapter 11, How to Communicate Difficult Feelings, John Gray introduces his most practical tool for relationship maintenance, the love letter technique. While previous chapters focused on understanding differences, this chapter provides a step-by-step method for processing negative emotions so they don't turn into the destructive arguments described in Chapter 9. 1. The problem, suppressed emotions. Gray argues that many people struggle to communicate because they don't know how to express negative feelings without sounding like they are attacking their partner. Men tend to suppress their feelings until they explode or retreat into their cave. Women often feel overwhelmed by their emotions and may express them in a way that sounds like a laundry list of complaints. If we don't share our feelings, we lose our capacity for intimacy. However, if we share them poorly, we create conflict. The love letter is the bridge between these two extremes. 2. The love letter technique. The goal of a love letter is to move through the layers of your hidden dark emotions to find the love that is buried underneath. Gray identifies 5 levels of feeling that must be expressed to reach true resolution. The 5 levels of a love letter. To write an effective letter, which you don't always have to send it, you must write a few sentences for each of the following. Anger and blame start with what makes you mad. I don't like it when. I feel angry that. Sadness and disappointment. Beneath anger is usually hurt. I feel sad that. I feel disappointed because. Fear and insecurity. This is the vulnerable layer. I feel scared that. I worry that. Regret and responsibility. This is where you acknowledge your own part. I am sorry for. I regret that I. Love, understanding, and desire. This is the core. I love you because. I want us to. I appreciate that you. By the time you reach level 5, your internal emotional tank is drained of the toxic stuff, allowing you to speak to your partner from a place of love rather than resentment. 3. The response letter. The second part of the technique involves writing a response letter to yourself. You write what you wish your partner would say in response to your love letter. This helps you identify exactly what you need to hear, e.g., I'm sorry or I appreciate you. Understand your own emotional needs better. Give your partner a map for how to support you. 4. Why this works. For men, it gives them a safe, private place to process feelings without feeling weak or judged. It prevents them from snapping at their partner. For women, it helps them organize their thoughts so they don't feel like they are rambling or nagging. It ensures their core message of love isn't lost in the anger. 5. Sharing the letter. Gray notes that you don't always have to give the letter to your partner. Sometimes, just writing it is enough to clear your own head. However, if you do share it, the partner's job is just to listen read. They don't need to fix the feelings. Wait for the right time. Don't hand it to them when they are stressed or busy. No arguing about the letter. The letter is a statement of feelings, and feelings aren't up for debate. Summary of the love letter format. In Chapter 12, How to Ask for Support and Get It, John Gray explores why women often feel they aren't getting enough help and why men often feel they are being nagged. This chapter is essentially a guide to negotiation. Gray argues that men are not naturally mind readers and that women must learn the Martian art of asking to get the support they deserve. 1. Why women don't ask. Gray observes that on Venus you shouldn't have to ask. If someone loves you, they should see your need and offer help. Consequently, when a woman has to ask, she often feels the support is worth less because it wasn't offered spontaneously. The trap: a woman gives and gives, expecting the man to give back in return. When he doesn't, she becomes resentful. The result: by the time she finally asks for help, she does so with a tone of resentment or demand, which causes the man to say no just to protect his autonomy. 2. The 3 steps for asking for support. Gray outlines a specific progression to help women train their partners to be more supportive without triggering an argument. Step 1. Asking for what you are already getting. The goal here is to get the man used to hearing a request without it being a complaint. The technique: ask him to do things he already does, e.g., would you take out the trash, and then appreciate him for it. The logic: this builds his confidence. He starts to associate your requests with the reward of feeling successful and appreciated. Step 2. Asking for more even when you know he'll say no. This is about expanding his comfort zone. The technique: ask for something extra, and if he grumbles or says no, accept it gracefully. The logic: if he sees that he can say no without you getting angry, he feels more in charge of his choices. Ironically, this makes him more likely to say yes the next time because he doesn't feel pressured. Step 3. Assertive asking. Once a foundation of trust is built, the woman can ask more directly. The technique: state the request, then be silent. Don't provide a list of reasons why he should do it, which sounds like a lecture. The logic: silence gives him the space to process the request and realize he wants to help you. 3. The secret language of asking. Gray highlights a major linguistic difference that causes conflict: the use of could you versus would you. The Martian interpretation of could you, to a man, could you take out the trash, is a question of ability. It sounds like you are questioning his competence. He thinks, of course I can, I'm not an idiot. The Venusian request, would you, using would or will, signals a request for a favor. It acknowledges his power to choose. The result: men are significantly more likely to say yes to would you than could you. 4. Why men resist. Gray explains that when a man is asked to do something, he often goes through a brief, grumbling phase. The mistake: women often interpret this grumbling as a no or as him being mean. They then start to argue or withdraw. The reality: grumbling is just the man's way of transitioning from his own task to yours. If the woman ignores the grumble and stays pleasant, he will usually end up doing the task quite happily. 5. The 90-10 rule. Gray introduces a concept here that explains why we sometimes overreact. Asterisk 90% past slash 10% present. If your partner does something small and you have a massive emotional reaction, it's usually because 10% is about the current situation and 90% is about an unresolved wound from your past. The lesson: understanding this prevents you from blaming your partner for making you feel that way, and instead allows you to take responsibility for your own emotional history. Summary of effective asking. Instead of saying, try saying, why? This place is a mess. Would you help me clean the kitchen? Direct requests beat passive-aggressive hints. Could you pick up the kids? Will you pick up the kids today? Will Wood acknowledges his willingness, not his capability. I need you to. I would really appreciate it if you. Focuses on the reward appreciation rather than the duty. Key takeaway. For women, stop waiting for him to offer. Ask clearly, use would you, and be prepared to let him grumble a bit. For men, realize that when she asks for help, she isn't saying you are failing. She is giving you an opportunity to be her hero. In the final chapter of the book, Keeping the Magic of Love Alive, John Gray summarizes how to maintain a long-term relationship by accepting the ebb and flow of love. He argues that love isn't a static state but a seasonal cycle that requires constant adjustment and understanding of our partner's alien nature. 1. The seasons of love. Gray uses the metaphor of seasons to explain why relationships feel different over time. He suggests that if we expect a relationship to be summer all the time, we will inevitably be disappointed. Spring, the initial falling in love phase. Everything is perfect and effortless. We believe our partner is perfect. Summer, the realization that our partner isn't perfect. We have to work at communication and resolve differences. It is a time of sweating and effort. Autumn, a time of harvest. After working through the summer, we enjoy a deeper, more mature love. We accept our partner's flaws. Winter, a time of rest and reflection. This is often when we feel the most alone or when old wounds resurface. Gray argues this is a natural time for growth and inner work. The lesson: many couples break up in winter because they think the love is gone. Gray argues that spring always follows winter if you have the tools to navigate the cold. 2. The 90-10 rule, expanded. Building on the previous chapter, Gray explains that when we are upset, 90% of the pain is related to our past, unresolved childhood issues, past relationships, and only 10% is about the current event. How it works: your partner forgets to call you. You feel an overwhelming sense of abandonment. The 10% is the missed call. The 90% is the feeling of being unimportant that you've carried since childhood. The solution: when you realize your reaction is outsized, stop blaming your partner. Take a moment to process your own 90% so you can discuss the 10% rationally. 3. The paradox of intimacy. Gray explains that intimacy often brings up our dark side. When we feel most loved, our old feelings of unworthiness or fear of abandonment often rise to the surface. For men, they might suddenly feel the need to pull away, the rubber band effect, right after a very close weekend. For women, they might suddenly feel very needy or insecure, the wave, right after a period of great connection. 4. Keeping the points high. The chapter revisits the scoring system from Chapter 10. Gray emphasizes that love is a daily choice. Men must remember that the big things they did last year don't count for today's points. They must keep performing small acts of caring. Women must remember to keep showing appreciation for those small acts, as appreciation is the fuel that keeps a Martian moving. 5. Avoiding the delay of happiness. Gray concludes by warning against the "I'll be happy when" trap. I'll be happy when he changes. I'll be happy when she stops complaining. He encourages readers to take responsibility for their own happiness. By using the love letter technique, Chapter 11, and asking for support, Chapter 12. You stop being a victim of your partner's behavior and start being a co-creator of the relationship. Summary table: the journey from Mars-Venus. Concept: Martian perspective, Venusian perspective. Growth needs to feel trusted and accepted to grow, needs to feel heard and cherished to grow. Conflict tends to fight or flee the cave, tends to fix or mother the nag. Healing heals by achieving and solving, heals by sharing and feeling. Longevity stays when he feels like a hero, stays when she feels like a priority. Final takeaway: the magic of love is kept alive not by finding a partner who is just like you, but by honoring the differences. When a man respects a woman's wave, and a woman respects a man's cave, the friction that usually causes heat and fire instead creates warmth and light.